Everyone, this is Terrence of the TSKJesusFreak.com, and in this video, I'm going to talk about my picks for what I've, over the years, came to like and admire. So, in terms of Christian leaders, as you can tell from the YouTube, whatchamacallit? The title, the title. So the first one is obviously John Macarthur of Grace to You. He basically all these guys who I'm gonna list out are the guys who are just basically heavy hitters, meaning this is the word of God. You either suck it up or leave. Is basically the gist of what they do, what they preach and they're preaching. You either suck it up, or you leave Christianity, and so or you got to deal with it, or you got to kind of like of course everybody's in that different state of life and whatnot, but like in terms of like theology and whatnot, these are the guys that I listened to over the years and whatnot. And so, this is my top picks for people who I like to listen to. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list. I do listen to a bunch of other pastors and whatnot, and I do. But this is like kind of my favorite list, my top picks or whatever. John MacArthur, C Sproul, Steve Lawson, James White, and then David Platt. So, like, in terms of John MacArthur, he's a very solid preacher, obviously, because he's been pastoring for decades and decades. I think from the 1970s at the same church. That's impressive. That is absolutely impressive. He has a very impressive, lack for a better term, resume of staying at that one church for decades, like decades and decades and decades, and like he basically sees generations of, like, when he started 1970s. So in the late 1970s, he basically saw people. Wait, I should just look that up quickly. John I want to get this right. Let me. Okay. Let me get the. So he was born in 1939. I don't really care. Oh wow. Okay, so he has been the pastor teacher of Grace Community Church in Sun Valley, California since February 9th, 1969. I was wrong. Since the 1960s, very late 1960s. So he's seen a lot. Let's just put it that way. He has seen quite a bit, and that is a lot. Because he was born in 1939, and 20 years later, he started preaching when he was 19. He was a pastor of Grace Community Church since he was 19, according to Wikipedia. This is according to Wikipedia, so I gotta, and it's not locked, so somebody could just be messing with me. But assuming that this is correct, like, even the 1970s is still decades and decades and decades. So yeah, I'm gonna see if there's more, like 1960s, 1970s. So he's seen a whole bunch of people. He probably done many funerals. He probably done many weddings. And he watched families from, he has seen families grown up and then have grandkids. Like, just think about that. Like, a pastor seeing, being able to see that from like 3 or even sometimes 4 generations worth. That's impressive. That's just because a lot of pastors these days are more short term thinking, or not necessarily long term thinking, but just be like, a lot of pastors are just acting like a pastor as a job, not necessarily as a calling, so to speak. Not all pastors, obviously, like John Macarthur, C Sproul, Steve Lawson, and James White, and not necessarily James White, but David Platt. Not so much with James White. But that's why it says Christian leaders, not pastors. And I don't even think Steve Lawson is a pastor either. Steve Lawson. Yeah, I don't think he's just a doctorate. Yeah. I mean, he does sermons and such, but I think he's just, I don't think he is he might, Steve Lawson, One Passion Wiki. Not the musician. He's not a musician. Okay, so 30 years. Oh, okay. So he was a pastor, or was a pastor. So he has some pastorate degree. He has some pastorate resume or whatever. So John Macarthur, of course, and then I was just want to look up to see it because. But anyways, so John Macarthur, obviously, a really solid biblical preacher. C Sproul, another solid biblical preacher. Even though I disagree with C Sproul on baptism, but despite his baptismal issues, I still like, and he's the late C Sproul, meaning he died a year ago. I think it was 2017. Yeah, it was like November, December of 2017 or something like that. Like at the tail end of the year. And he was like dying from some kind of disease or whatnot. He had to have an oxygen tank with him. And so, and then of course Steve Lawson, with his One Passion ministry, like the heavy hitter. I would say Steve Lawson is a heavy hitter, reformed, but a heavy hitter, and I would say C Sproul is a lot more kinder, but also he's very elegant with his words, but he's still like he has that unique balance of C Sproul has that unique balance of being gentle, but being of the Word of God. Like, being gentle, but at the same time, recognizing that, that he has that unique balance that I don't think a lot of people have. So you either fall into, like, more of that hard hitter or that too softness. And so he strikes that that middle ground of like being soft but yet being hard at the same time. Kind of like he himself is soft, but the words that he say are hard. And then of course James White. James White is like one of my favorite guys. He just he's very, very much high up, like not necessarily high up there, but like in terms of like the reason why there's another reason why I like Dr. James White and his ministry in Omega Ministry is that they don't do that sales pitch. They don't put much money into give us money, please give us money. He does say that, like, please donate, but that's more at the end of the year, and that's like 1 or 2 times a year, unlike some of the other ministries. Like in your ministry, they do a lot of sales pitch. They do a lot of sales pitch for, please donate money, please donate money. Obviously it works, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So Dr. James White and his ministry, it's a very small, a very small ministry, but very needed. So he has, the reason why I really like Dr. James White is because he actually debates Muslims in the mosques. He has been into mosques to debate whatchamacallit, Muslims. And so he's very, he conducts himself very, very well. So well that Muslims want to bring him into their mosques and debate. And so, yeah, that's like impressive. And he's still in it, like, without selling his soul, basically, without selling out. Which is the reason why there's a lot of Muslims that do like Dr. James White, because he has this high level of respect for other people and other belief systems that he debates over the years, like with the Mormons and with the and he uses their own doctrines. So like he done that with the Mormons, he does that with the Jehovah's Witnesses, he's done that with the Roman Catholics and like other stuff, and he has to get into like within house stuff too, like within the church, like of the King James onlyists out there, and then another one, and then of course that's his stuff, and he's like all over it. Like I think like I don't know if it was last year or the year before, he was gone 25% of the time. Like he was basically gone like 20 or 25% of the year, or like a fifth or something like that. I don't know exactly. It was a large percentage. Like holy moly, that's a lot of days that he's gone for the year. He's out of the country, like helping different people in different areas to basically help the local churches that he goes to, and then plus also like debates and whatnot. So he does a lot of that stuff, and so that's James White. And then David Platt, he has some really good sermons out there about just like a very reform-minded person, and so he has that, he kind of has that C Sproul type, but like at the same time that little harder, I would say a little harder type of thing of like he doesn't have like he's a little harder than R.C. Sproul, but not as hard as like Steve Lawson or James White. So he's probably between R.C. Sproul and John Macarthur in terms of softness, but at the same time staying true to the Word of God. And so, yeah, that's kind of my top picks for these Christian leaders. Now, if one of them, with an exception of R.C. Sproul because he's with the Lord, if one of them went off the rails, so to speak, then I would have to like axe them off the my picks for the Christian leaders that I listen to. But I doubt that, because that would mean John Macarthur would have to, if he done for whatever reason he went off the rails, that means he just basically wasted decades of his ministry, and so there's that like that whole do you really want to be the guy who is like, you're so reformed, and then at the very end you didn't
you went from Reformed to basic Christianity. And so this is kind of why I want to do this video, because there are a lot of, there's like the prosperity gospel, which has its own pitfalls for obvious reasons, and then there's the other type of like that Jesus, just try Jesus for a while and then you become a true believer, which may or may not happen. So like the true believers would typically might start with a try Jesus and then actually become a true believer and then stop going to the church that they went to try Jesus and just go to a more biblically sound church. So that's kind of the pattern of a lot of these like if they start out as a lukewarm church or a church that is too soft, usually they typically exit their way out of that church eventually. Eventually is the key, is the thing. And especially with the age of the internet, they can access stuff from these five guys and plus a whole bunch of other reform-minded guys. But yeah, so those are my personal top picks of Christian leaders that I like to listen to. Do I disagree? The major disagreement I have out of these five is C Sproul. That's because he's a Presbyterian. I'm very Baptist. I'm not necessarily I'm Baptist, but I'm not gonna quote label myself as a Baptist. I'd rather label myself as a reform-minded Christian than anything else. But yeah, so that's kind of my video on my top picks for the Christian leaders. And then have a blessed day. Bye.